Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Strong Perspectives. I'm one of your hosts, Keith Armstrong. I'm here with my brothers, Jaquari Armstrong and Damon Armstrong. We're here to tell you what's on our mind and how we feel about things, and hopefully you can relate. Damon, how you doing, brother? Jaquari, how you doing, brother? How's everything going with you guys?
Yeah, we blessed over here, man.
Okay,
Same here, man. Same here.
Cool. Me too. You know, just trying to, see my way through things. I'm excited about this situation here because I see the potential and I'm having so much fun with it that, I want to make sure it's good. You know what I mean? But, let's get right into it. Damon, we were chopping it up a little bit about, a little bit of a political thing and all that. You want to try to expand a little bit on it? We'll talk about it for a moment or two.
Yeah, I guess the point I was making, man, when I was talking to you brothers, man, is that I found myself being disengaged, man, for a long time. To be quite frank with you, man, I didn't realize just how long I've been disengaged in the political process or whatever. But I started back watching the news, man, and they started talking about critical race theories and wokeness and all this stuff. And as I listen, I'm like, wow, you know what I'm saying? What is they trying to sell to the public? You know what I'm saying? What point is they trying to make? Because it's like, when you talk about critical race theory, we understand that that's systemic stuff that has to do with the system or whatever. Then they throw in the woke issues and all these different things, and they don't go together. And it's like, I mean, you just see all the political sides trying to make an argument when there's no argument there, man. And I'm kind of trying to find get my bearings again with this political thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all over the place, man, and it's difficult, man, to try to find my footing. And that's the point I was trying to make with you guys when I brought it up to you. It's like, if you want to follow a political party, you have to find something that you can identify with, something that makes sense to you. And so far I haven't found anything.
Got you. I got you.
I was just wondering, do y'all feel the same, or are y'all disengaged? What is it?
I can truly say that, I'm right along with you as far as being disengaged, but it was 4 years of the Trump administration, which, all the psycho babble that came out of it. Now, that's your own personal opinion. Now, if you're one of those people who was there January 6th on that bullshit, fine. That's you. That's how you feel. But I became disengaged in the sense that now I have to take care of what's around me more than anything. And, just to your point, when it comes to like the, wokeness and critical race theory, in order to really understand it, you have to understand the definition. And I invite people to read the definition so they'll understand it. But what happens is, and this is my own personal opinion, people pile things that's unrelated onto that pile. You see what I'm saying? Because it's how I understand it is it's systemic, right? But it's always been that way. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, I always try to fight something from home and then branch out.
You don't think it trickles down to home?
The way that it trickles down is this. If you're not careful, if you don't educate your children, if they don't educate your grandkids and so on and so on, right, it could be forgotten. That's the only way I looked at it trickle down. Because to be perfectly honest, who is in control? Who is in control of the system? what community dominates the system, because what they're going to do is do the best for their community, period. Whoever's in charge,
I totally agree.
you know.
I totally agree.
That's how I feel. You know what I mean? And look, if you think it's an oversimplification, oversimplifying, oversimplifying, right? If you think it's that, then,
Sing it.
then I get it. I understand it. You know, we can sit there and you can have a one-on-one conversation with me, and we can go ahead and hatch it out. Fine. But understand, I'm telling you what my interpretation is. Period. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. You know, that's just me.
I think as far as critical race theory goes, man, it's just another one of those polarizing subjects, man, that, you know, basically creates enmity, you know, against us, because everybody, you know, as we talked about before, everybody is so hard pressed to talk about, you know, critical race theory and its relationship to slavery. But critical race theory is just that, you know, a telling of history from an orbital point of view. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if we talked about critical race theory in Africa, the conversation would be totally different. You know what I mean? But since we're here in America, you know, living under, you know, Eurocentric rule or whatever, of course, you know, you guys are going to be the bad guys, because you're the ones who are, you know, the subjugators here on American soil. But it's not just us. It's not just Black people. It's Asians. It's Spanish. Latinos. It's hell. If you want to really break it down, it's Irish. It's Italian. Hell, the Italians have a history of lynching in this country too. That's why I don't really. That's why I don't really get the disconnect that they have with you know, with our community. You know, they was persecuted, you know, almost as much as we was. You know,
Right.
Hey, let me just jump in here real quick. Let me just say this: the biggest coup that the elite, and I say elite because I don't have particular names to it, but the biggest coup that the elite ever did was create Black and white. That was the biggest coup. That was the biggest victory that they had, because you mentioned the Italians, you mentioned the Irish. Those two groups go hard against us as a community.
Yeah.
Right? But you want to know why? Because they were treated horribly by the Anglo-Saxons too when they came here. Right? My opinion now, folks. But the elite convinced them, hey, we don't think much of you now, but you can earn your way up here, and at least you're not Black.
At the very
That's
least,
where the division came. That's what happened.
But what was their pathway to citizenship, though, as compared to African Americans or Black people?
Well, hell,
The pathway to citizenship was different. They didn't have to have amendments.
but their pathway to citizenship
they were white.
was a custodial position over us. That's why we had a police.
The Irish and the Italians became policemen. So they earned their way into whiteness. Now, understand, I'm sure folks can argue a different side of this thing, right? I'm giving you what I think, okay? And the bottom line is this, while I'm chewing on the fucking Snickers, excuse me, man. Not professional at all. But
You know, you got to tend to that blood sugar, brother.
Hey, you just need to use up another sweet. That's all.
Yeah, but so that's the thing about it is this is my personal observation of it. Because they go harder. The Irish and the Italians go harder on us, but they get treated similar, except for when it comes to their whiteness.
Yeah. I think, man, for me, go ahead, Smoke.
If you take the Klan, for instance, up to a certain point in this country, they always talked about Jews, blacks, Asians, and Catholics, right?
Yeah.
Always, they always had Catholics, into the mix. And at that time, primarily a large amount of Catholics that was coming to this country was white.
Yep. But
when they changed the game, they sort of X that part out of their what would you call that? Well, they stopped mentioning Catholics at some point because the Catholics became included into their
Well, that's because they had their first Catholic president.
That's when it happened. I was getting ready to say that, Damon, is because John F. Kennedy became president of the United States. That's when the Roman Catholics became inclusive into American society.
Here's the thing, man. I've thought about it, because I'm becoming more engaged into it. I thought about it because when they say that Black people are not monolithic, that's a true statement, man. Because if you really think about it, Black people in this country are the most conservative people in this country. The most conservative people. But conservatives talk about us like we're outside of that. Even though they might have some things that we agree with, you know what I'm saying? They tend to paint us with that broad stroke of liberalism and then they had the nerve to throw communism in there and all that stuff. And it's like, it's funny to me because it's like, if you're so against communist programs and ideologies, man, then what we doing with Medicare and Social Security and all that shit? You know what I'm saying? And those same people will fight tooth and nail to keep their shit, but they want to point at somebody and say, man, you a communist.
Okay, now, before we move on, because we're getting ready to transition, we kind of transitioned already, but are we done with critical race theory? From you, Damon.
For me, like I said, it was just a subject starter for me, man, because I'm like I said, I was disengaged from everything. And now I'm trying to find my footing where I want my voice to be heard. You know what I'm saying? What angle do I take, man, to stand my ground? Because my whole point is this, man. I've gotten to the point, man, especially over these last 4 years with Trump in office. It's like, man, these cats or these people or this particular party, man, they speak to us like, they were speaking to me. Let me put it that way. Like I was Boo-Boo the Fool, man. You know what I'm saying? It was very insulting to my intelligence. And it's like, but how long do I continue to let a fool talk before I say, hey, man, you do know you sound foolish, right?
But see, that's the thing, man. And then this is my last contribution to what you're talking about. You understand just by this, look, interpersonal relationships with other people. Say you, and this may not be my sister-in-law's, but say your wife knows she's wrong, right? But she'll find every reason not to apologize. So when Trump,
wife has never apologized to me for anything.
But that's the point, though. But no, this is my point. No, I don't want you guys to get personal about it. What I'm saying, I'm using this as an example. To your point, Damon, when it came to the 4 years of Trump, when we were listening to all that garbage that was being spewed, that was dope. That was dope. Him and his party and whoever, even with under the Obama, the 8 years under Obama, President Obama, right? When they did dirty things to derail it, right? And came out and said it, they did everything to admit that they were wrong. It's human nature. Human nature to have people do things, get defensive when they should be we should be defended from them. We have always been, as a community, always been, all right, perfect example. Parents, you know, the little bit of news we get about critical race theory, right? Parents like, well, I don't want my child to hear, you know, I don't want them to learn about this because we have nothing to do with this. First of all, if you're living under, if you're having a certain freedom under this, and you're not dealing with a certain pressure because you're not part of the Black community, right? Then you shouldn't say that at all. Just live your life. Don't go out and try to erase it because you feel as though your child shouldn't be subject to it. But guess what? Social media is teaching your child what's right. You know what I'm saying? But they also they're also teaching the child, you know, some way out extreme shit too.
But here's the thing, though, man. Here's the thing, though. Critical race theory has absolutely nothing to do with what a child is learning in grade school and all that shit today. Absolutely nothing. So it's a fallacy to make that you know what I'm saying, to make that argument. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean by.
But it's being grouped together, though. You see how it's being grouped together,
right? And that's what I mean by. Anybody that's having awareness to look at that whole situation and say, damn, they're trying to do the fake out joint, man. Who the hell you think you're talking to? It doesn't matter. And they passed laws in 37 states, man, to ban critical race theories. You see what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with the argument that they're making.
But here's the thing. Point. I agree, but we talked about this yesterday. It's not being taught in school in the first freaking place.
Right.
And it is a thesis. It's not law. It's not anything. It's somebody else's theory.
Yes,
and it's been around since the 70s.
Right, but Keith, that theory has validity to it, though.
But the point is, you don't need to name it because it's not being taught, right? And here's my thing. Community cooperation can erase whether or not it's being taught in schools, period. Because what's lacking, why there's a problem, why there's statistics, you know what I'm saying? Why is the type of racism that we're dealing with is because mutual cooperation is not there.
Well, you mentioned statistics. Statistics are problematic, man.
No. I couldn't pronounce systemic.
Systemic, okay.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. No, not the stats, dog. That's me having a mush mouth and being old at the same time. Bad combination. You know what I'm saying? But the point is,
I understand what you're saying, man. I get it.
Jesus, man. Preach on, brother. Preach on. But you know, that's my point. It's like the one thing that I feel that's lacking is community cooperation. You know what I'm saying? Because that could go a long way in fighting any kind of systematic pushback on us.
But when you say
Uh,
that when you say, not to cut you off, man, but when you say the cooperation is there, but people are just not on the same page.
then the cooperation ain't there.
They call it cooperation there.
It's not cooperation.
Well, you got different organizations trying to move towards the same goal.
Doing that thing,
Right.
and people not listening to them. You see what I'm saying? Now within their core, they're making strides, right? But I'm saying, as a community, do you see it?
No, I as a community as a whole, no, I don't see it. Not unless we vote for president. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not unless it's something like that. But
Yeah. I mean,
why
look,
do you guys think it's so difficult for us to come together as a community as a whole? Why are we as a community, we throw out, when we're making an argument for ourselves, we throw out phrases like, Black people are all not monolithic. Okay, so you can agree to disagree. But what's the end goal? Do you have a mindset or a system in place, man, to move towards the same goal and work together? You know what I'm saying?
At what point have either one of you ever heard a viable solution to anything that goes on, within the confines of our community? When? You never heard solutions. You've always heard, you've always heard about the fight.
but here's the thing. If the solutions are there, because we do hear about economic empowerment, we do hear about, all those different
we
things,
talk about
right?
the solutions
But
all the time.
What does it lack? What's the main ingredient, the driving force? Cooperation. You know what I'm saying? And cooperation, now think about this. Cooperation doesn't require liking the person that you're dealing with. Cooperation requires you moving in the same direction as the body, especially if it's a positive direction. Now, we do that when it comes to negative stuff. We jump on it. You know why? Because we're human beings.
Okay, give me an example with the negative stuff you talking
about. That maybe you think about it.
Stop snitching.
Stop snitching. That's a good one. Gang-related stuff. That's a good one. Our kids following these gangs because, and the thing about it is their home life might be messed up. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, sometimes it's like the fight, man. You got to go for the fight. You got to go for what will make it better. And we don't push in the same direction when it comes to positive things. Now you're talking about marching. You're talking about what happened with George Floyd, the whole nine. You're talking about that? Okay, right? But think about it. We've been doing that ever since Mike Brown. But it got traction when white people got involved in it.
Well, hell, they still got shot with rubber bullets and tear gas too.
My whole point, because what they saw is people like them getting chased around, people like them standing up for something. You see what I'm saying? So when it was just all black, the fear of us marching peacefully down the damn street. Because that's what we were doing, right? In the majority of cases. In some cases, they
drove Baltimore
protesting peace don't have nothing to do with breaking in, kicking in the door of a motherfucking CVS or a Walgreens and going to the pharmacy department. Has shit to do with that. You know what I mean? So I'm not ignoring both sides, but my point is, we come together for that. But see, that has a shelf life. You know what I mean? It has a shelf life, man.
It lasts into the next election. You're right. You're absolutely right on it.
Yeah. So, but why, like, us really surviving don't have a shelf life? And we don't see it. We don't really group together like we need to survive, because yesterday we talked about it, just letting the audience know. We talked about, I said that if we just do the one thing, trying to make things, I lost my train of thought, but what I really want to say is this. There's so many different ways and different avenues, because we work for these multi-billion-dollar corporations. Black folks are in there, crucial cogs in those systems. Black folks who understand, they work for designers, independent contractors, retail, produce. There's Black farmers out there. There's so much that we can, if we blend them together, we can create a common bond in a community. You see what I'm saying? But what we do is we depend, my opinion now, we depend too much on whether or not we like the person in charge. But if the person in charge is saying the right thing, I don't need to like him. You know?
Yeah, but they always say what you want, what they think you want to hear. You know what I'm saying? You know what? This will give you an example, man.
Why people do that anyway, though, dog?
This will give you an example, man. When Biden was running, right, and he went to South Carolina, and that brother put him in office. Long story short, when he started going up against Trump, what was the thing he was saying? I'm gonna have a female president, and I'm gonna have I'm gonna put a Black woman on the Supreme Court. You know what I'm saying? Everybody cheered and all that. And to be totally honest with you, when I heard him say that, it diminished what he was trying to do. He could have just named her when man was retired. He could have named her then and just put her in place. Mm-hmm. But it just felt like he was pandering, man. You know what I'm saying? He was pandering to get in there so he could walk around with his dark glasses on and look presidential. And half the time, I can't even understand what he's saying, man. You know what I'm saying?
Black people need a certain amount of pageantry, to stab shit. So I mean, that's probably what it was.
You're right. But why are we that? Why are we like that, man?
What do you mean?
When do we learn our lesson?
What do you mean by that, Spo?
Well, I mean, it's anytime we aspire to do big things, man, it's always got to have a certain level of pomp and circumstance, man. It just does. It's got to have a certain level, a certain hashtagable, nature about it. That's why. For the most part, Black people I know always buy name brand shit. Do you know a lot of Black people that buy like generic stuff?
And you know why I think that? Because it kind of indirectly helped us. And it started from our, I need a better word than ancestors, but the people who was able to buy what they wanted to buy to feel a part of this country. So what do? You go out and buy the most expensive designer thing. It was like that back in the day, because once we gained our somewhat of freedom, we dressed impeccable taste. We styled.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but I buy my rags because I look good in them motherfuckers. That's all.
I mean, look, you make yourself look good in your shit, man. But this is my point, though. This is my point. Just answering Jaquari's thing.
I'm just joking, man. I ain't trying to belittle.
Feeling a part of this country. So we bought all the finer clothes. Why we wanted to buy, when we had the money, we wanted to in the finer neighborhoods to feel a part of this country. And this country did not allow us to be that way. You know what I'm saying?
So
Let me ask you this.
my ultimate point was, I mean, to put this lady in, you know, in a position of power, you know, it had to be some bright lights and fireworks in order to get us to pay attention.
I get it.
So you said it would have gone unnoticed if he just nominated her or whatever.
No, I'm not. Well, I'm not saying that.
Chance. No, you know what it is? It was the possibility that momentum would have been lost. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, but you know what though, man? And I'm not trying to sound petty, but it's just how I feel. Why didn't Obama do that, man?
You know what I think?
Yeah.
You know what I think? I'm be honest with you. Because guys out there, our audience, I need y'all to understand, if y'all want to talk to me, I need a one-on-one to talk about President Obama. But the reason why, and it's not, no, I was proud to see him first black president and all this, all of that. But this is why he didn't do it. Because
I can't wait to hear
they
this.
made us, hold on. They made us feel like, hey, he's the first. So you may never get a chance. So he needs to do everything he needs to toe the company line so you'll get a chance to have another one. Think about that. So he did not, to me, and I can be corrected, but this is what I'm saying to you, because I was so proud to be able to see it in my lifetime, right? But I listened to every speech that he talked about, and I did not hear him talk about me as a black man in any of his speeches.
Can I say this? Okay, the last time a significant move was made for black people in this country, well, the last two times significant moves was made for black people in these countries, you know, was the first one was the Civil War. That was devastating. The second one was the Civil Rights Movement, and they openly lynched us for 5 or 6 years, right? So if Obama would have got into office and immediately started doing, you know, making changes for the black community, there ain't no telling what would have happened to us, man.
But bro, I agree, and we pretty much saying the same thing. But Obama was in office for 8 years, and I said to you,
Right,
what did I say to you?
What do you mean by that? You lost before, man. What would have happened to us if he would have?
Hold on. Let me just say this. Obama was in office for 8 years, man, and I said to you, I did not hear him speak on me as a black man in any of his speeches, but I did hear about the Spanish community. I did hear about the LGBTQ community. I did hear about the Arabic community. I heard him in major speeches talk about that. And I'm simple, man. I am easy. Talk about me because I see you as me. But did he see me as him?
Yeah, he threw a bone out there when he said Trayvon Martin could have been his son.
Well, was that a real bone? Because him and
for a lot of black people, it's
because Trayvon Martin was the same complexion as his daughters. That was it. He didn't commit to anything.
But what is it that, let me ask you this, what is it that you wanted him to commit to? What did you want him to actually say?
Bro, what did I just say? I wanted him to talk about being a black man in America.
Okay.
Now, maybe he did and I missed the speech. But I'm telling you that
I said a lot of people missed that speech.
That's my whole point. Am I criticizing him? No. I'm saying I felt like I didn't get it out of 8 years. That's all.
Would you call it, man? Elaborate on what you say, man. If he really took that stance that Keith is talking about what would have happened to us? What do you think would have happened to us?
I think the police killings that happened, you know, in the 8 years, within the confines of the 8 years of him being in office, I think they would have doubled or even tripled. I mean, because if he would have came and railed, railed against, American oppression against black people or whatever, you know, that would have just gave the rest of the country another reason to hate us.
And the thing about it is, it wouldn't have been the police. It wouldn't have been law enforcement, man. It would have been these Michigan dudes, you know what I'm saying? These Proud Boys, all these other guys saying, oh, the white Armageddon is upon us. And guess what they're going out to do? Now, am I saying that he was right by not speaking on it? Or am I saying he's wrong? I'm not saying anything for the simple fact I just said that I did not hear him talk about us.
Look here. Now, if the Proud Boys and all them motherfuckers would have been mad at him if he would have said something as simple as this. Man, I come from a place, what was it, on the west side of Chicago? We have...
You ain't come from there, but go ahead.
We have 200 or 300 goddamn shootings and homicides and shit. And he look in the camera and ask, man, why are we killing each other?
I would have settled for that.
Right. What the fuck that got to do with the Proud Boys and these fucking racist motherfuckers? Nothing.
For the simple fact that this is fear, is terror. They experience fear and terror when they feel as though that we, and it's deep down, it's innate in them. And I'm speaking broadly, so when I say them, whatever, it's not including all, I'm not bunching all the white people that I know that I think are good people. Has nothing to do with that. What I'm saying to you is these extremists who are terrified because they know the truth that, oh man, one day these black people are going to see just how shitty they've been treated. You see what I'm saying? And that's the whole point. Now,
as simple as my statement was, man, and as far-fetched as it may seem, in today's America, Fluky, David, I'm sorry, do you really think that that's such an outside notion for people, for regular citizens to take up arms against us because they think that any advantage that we're given is automatically a situation where they're getting shitted on? Do you think that's unrealistic?
Well, it all depends on how he parses his words, man. We've had
so many examples of what I said, and they have absolutely nothing to do with politics. George Floyd had nothing to do with politics, man. That was somebody asserting their power over a big black man.
Yeah, and that has everything to do with critical race theory also.
And if Obama,
I don't see
if
how
George Floyd situation would have happened during Obama's terms, the cop probably would have got away with it.
I
believe that.
That's in a mouthful, brother.
No, you're reaching. No, hold on.
Today, look, things happen in today's world, man, that are just totally unprecedented.
Well, but first of all,
would it be unprecedented for a black man to be persecuted and murdered on television? Is that unprecedented? No.
First of all, yes.
No, it's
that's
not.
That's why that man was convicted, because people saw it live. You understand what I'm saying to you? They saw it live.
Do you understand my overall point?
Hold on.
No, wait. Do you understand my overall point? My overall point was, if Obama had come out and said anything in favor of the black community, those things, the police killing all those black men, they never would have been prosecuted. It wouldn't have happened. For the simple fact that, the powers to be, the white powers to be, would have ensured that you know, his hands would have been tied.
But you know what that does? I understand the point that you're making, bro.
I'm good. I understand what you're saying. I'm not quite there, but go ahead. Please.
I understand what you're saying, bro. But what Keith is alluding to, and correct me if I'm wrong, man, watching that modern day lynching, that struck at the heart of everybody's humanity, man.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That made true what Black people have been talking about for years and years. Man, they showed a motherfucker shooting a man in the back 8 times, running away, right? He got convicted. But people said, on the other side of the shit, on the other side of humanity, people said, well, what did he do to provoke it? What did he do to provoke it? With George Floyd, they could not make that statement because they saw it all played out.
Exactly.
They saw it all played out. That George Floyd didn't do anything to provoke what happened to him. You know what I'm saying? If there is a missing piece, then people can fall to whatever side they want to fall on. But if it's right there in front of your face, there's no denying that unless you don't have humanity in you, man.
I'm gonna tell you.
And you have to face that. You have to deal with that.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. And this is, you know, I'm a retired law enforcement, so I have had a law enforcement friend, right? He said to me that when Candace Owen came out and said, and you talked about, you know, she got paid to do this shit. That's why I don't respect her at all. Talked about George Floyd's past, right? Oh, he did this, he did that. And my man, which is a good friend of mine, was like, yo, he was a bad person. He did this, he did that, and da-da-da. I let him finish. And then I said to him, you watched him be murdered on television. I mean, or on whatever, social media. You watched him be murdered. So what does his past have to do with the fact that you watched that man be murdered? And he was silent.
Yeah, I think we jumping all over the place, fellas. I'll just use George Floyd as an example, man.
No, we're not really jumping over the place. We did know your question and your statement was answered, but I was just talking about just the whole point of it, just the whole nature. You know what I'm saying? How what we perceive and how things was happening. Now, you had a good point when you said that if it was under the Obama administration, because his hands was pretty much tied. He couldn't even be inflammatory in any fucking speech that he made. Now, y'all tell me what inflammatory speech that he made, that then I'll be cool. You know what I mean? Because he was always, he always came sideways. He was not straight and blunt.
He was somewhat inflammatory when he bailed out Wall Street and then he spoke against Wall Street.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying?
How are you inflammatory if you gave him the money?
It was a safe way to criticize because he bailed him out.
You still gave him the money.
Exactly my point.
I mean, it was what it was. And and I want you to understand, I know people love what he did while he was in office because he gave us something that we lacked, and that was pride and prestige. You know, he had the wife that carried herself well the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? But, bro, honestly.
You know what, Keith, man? Not to cut you off, man. He did a lot of stuff. Prison reform and all that. He did a lot of stuff, man. But when you are in that position, when you have the bully pulpit, man, it is okay for you to say, I mean, if there's anybody who have objections to this man saying, man, I come from Chicago, and there's too many black people killing too many black people. We need to do better. Let's find a way to live in peace. If you got a motherfucker that goes against that and willing to take up arms because of that, they're your enemy any goddamn way. You cannot find criticism or fault in making that type of statement. This dude had the highest criminal activity in the country and the city that the fuck he came from during his whole presidency, man.
Okay.
And how much did he was supposed to speak to those people in his community where he came from directly.
I know, but he never did.
But what did it do? It always came down to gun reform and shit.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Now you've seen people mixed messages when you see a kid murdered, innocent kid get murdered, and you start talking about gun reform and all that shit, and you got somebody like me that got guns all over this motherfucker to protect my family. You understand what I'm saying? You speaking in contradictory terms.
Well,
you know, to put a bow on my situation, on my conversation, man, you know, I had some of the same sentiments, Keith. You know, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's finally about to happen. It's finally about to happen, man. You know, I'm gonna be able to walk around and not be in fear of hearing the police siren or not being afraid of, you know, little old white ladies who get sassy because, you know what I mean? Because they can basically say and get away with anything that they want to get away with, right? But when I realized that, you know, he wasn't thinking chess, man. He was thinking checkers. You know, all the support he got in Chicago that basically got him elected to the presidency, you know, or at least on the path to the presidency. You know, he did what any other politician would do. He forgot about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he took 8 years to secure his family's legacy is what he did. And that's politics.
All presidents do that.
Yeah, I don't hate him for that.
That's what the libraries are for. But
my expectations, you know, for what he was going to do was basically addressed in his first 2 years.
My thing is this, man, and this shit is unprecedented, man.
All right, well, look, hold on. I'm going to let you finish, but we need to conclude this. And after you, then we're going to go into the conclusion. Go ahead, bro.
My point is, anytime you get 95% of black people voting for you, and then your second term, you get 98% of black people voting, that's unprecedented, man. You totally ignored the percentage of votes that you had.
Bro.
95% the first time, 98% the second time. He got 98% because he promised that in his next term, he gonna get to the fucking bread and butter issues. And he never did.
But no, what he did was he empowered black women. Now,
here's
my thing. I mean, he spoke on it. You know what I mean? His wife, the first lady represented it. You know what I mean? He didn't have to say anything. It's just, it was insinuated. You know what I mean? Look.
So for 98% of the votes, we got an insinuation. Okay.
Bro, can you say anything else? Right. You understand what I'm saying to you? Look, I don't want, and then we're gonna go ahead and tie this up in a knot. I don't want people to think, for me personally, that I am completely dissatisfied in the presidency of Barack Obama. No. Because what I realized was searching for my voice in his speeches, it never came. It never came. So I have every right to talk about how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Am I trying to convince you to feel any different towards him? No. Feel any fucking way you want to feel about him. I'm not trying to convince you any different. It's just a simple fact. I don't go in to try to convince somebody to change their mind about how I feel about something. My goal is to tell you, this is why I feel this way. And I'm good. You understand what I'm saying to you? Unless I'm put in the position to try to change your mind. But if it's just discussion, I don't care if I didn't change your mind. But as long as you heard me.
Well, you know what? People listen, man, but sometimes you like to feel that somebody is on a similar foot. They ain't
You can't guarantee that.
I'm not saying to guarantee. I said you would hope to feel that way.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. All right, well, we're going to end this on a lighter note.
You got a last thing you want to make?
Well, I mean, just the fact that, you know, in terms of Obama, I mean, you know, people wanted him to address inequality. People wanted him to address racism. People wanted him to address, you know, all these things that, you know, are a particular concern to the Black community.
Yeah.
As far as the world is concerned, he did that. He just didn't have any direct effect on us. But he addressed inequality. He addressed racism. It just wasn't with us, in particular.
It wasn't us in mind. And that has always been my problem. So it's not besmirching his name. Of course, he brought, the universal health care situation, which they destroyed, even though it was the Republicans' health care. You know what I mean? Mitt Romney and the other cat. I get that. They destroyed it and made it look like it looks today. But my point is, he did great things in it, but I didn't hear him call and speak to me. That's it.
Hey, I'm like Travis Smiley. Love you to death, bro. But I can't be critical of your ass too.
That's real. But look, we're gonna go ahead and close this up. As I always say, man, I enjoy speaking to y'all. And guys, listeners, we was on a serious political topic today. We didn't get too deep for y'all because, a lot of times what you want to do is you want to hear what we have to say more than what we got to say. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be back at y'all, and we're going to be more and more frequent and down. And, very soon we're going to have other guests on to give their point of view. Anything, last words, man? Short last word, brothers, because I don't want to extend this into longer than it should be.
I bid you peace and prosperity in all your ventures.
Stay bathed in faith.
Baba Lucy Mangani.
Yeah, you so silly.
We'll see y'all soon.